Happy day before NBA Finals Game 3 day, Tuesday, June 6th. Or, you could look at it another way, 2 days before D-Day for President Trump. Or maybe you should call it C-Day, considering that Trump is concerned about what former FBI Director James Comey is going to say. Or you can look at it as 2 days before the UK elections. Or you can look at it as 2 days before the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. Whichever the case may be, it's definitely Thursday, a pivotal day. And tomorrow is a very pivotal day for Bay Area sports. Now, we've got something to talk about in, again, courtesy of the person that's becoming your favorite Raider and mine, Marshawn Lynch. But before I get to the latest sayings of the real Money Lynch, just kidding, and needling ML Scott, the other Money Lynch, I am going to go to the point of, this is interesting. I'm going to go to the point of setting up this live vlog. Hey Barry, how you doing? And getting started. So bear with me while I go and make that happen. And as I do that, everybody is going to come in and we are going to, as they say, convince. And I like that term, convince. I wonder what the origin of that term, commence, is. Commence, yeah. Commence. So the stream is good, which is a good thing, always a good thing. View on watch page, always an equally good thing. Gonna set this up, and let's see here. Let's see here. Well, then don't watch. Sorry. I have to find out what's happening here because let's see here. There is the change there. So let's see here. All right, and we will go back to here. Watch page. There we go. And let's see what's going on here. Stuff is. That is. There is a noise here, and I don't know what to do about it. Hey everybody. So there's a little like clicking sound. I understand what he's talking about there. And I'm going to. Let me try something here. Let me mute that out. Hey everybody. And yeah, some people are rude like that. Hey, So I mean, it's not as bad as, it's not anywhere near what he's characterizing, which is interesting. But I think it might have to do with this metal thing. And I'm going to try a little experiment and see what happens if I do this, okay? Like that. And hold it and see if that makes a difference. Does it make a difference? Let's see here. It's worth experimenting. Slightly, it does. It's something. There's nothing in here that can't cause that. Let me see something here. Barry, you're still in the hospital? Ooh. That's feedback. Mute that. Let's see here. Still don't. Okay. So at any rate, you're still in the hospital. Yeah, the hospital always has great Wi-Fi. That's for certain. That is absolutely certain. Hey, does anyone still hear that noise? Because there's an interesting little Wi-Fi problem with the damage there. And I think what happens if I reverse a little. Okay, here's the thing though. I think, okay, let me try something here because I believe okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, what happened was I dropped the phone a little bit back and there's a bit of a crack, and that has something to do with the mic on this side. However, if I do this, for example, I believe the sound goes away. Watch this, right? So if I talk from this, okay, it's a different microphone and the sound is different. Know what I mean? Because it switches around, okay? So if I turn things this way, like let's see here. Like that, if I turn it around like that, let's see what that does, right? That's different, right? Let's see here. And yeah, recover, Barry. Hey, actually, that's better, right? Yeah, recover, Barry. No sound. Actually, that's better, right? It's a different mic. So we have two mics, right? Because we have two mics. So what's going on is that the live stream area activates a different mic, which apparently is damaged somehow. So if I switch to this one, it's fine. All right. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a way. Technically, I can't, I have to do it one camera. I can't flip back and forth, right? So let me try something here as I go with this. Yeah, I'm actually glad he said something. That, sometimes you gotta, hey, you know what? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that's the way that goes. So there. Voila. The camera, it's a different bit of a bit of a different lighting. I'm going to try going up here, right here, to see if it actually improves. And there. So, because I discovered by accident, and yeah, there it is. So that should be much better, right? And yeah, all right. So thanks for saying something. Hey, you know what? What does it say? I might have. I mean, it was worth losing a viewer. Thanks. Yeah, this is actually the better camera. See, there's two cameras, and I've come to the conclusion that the iPhone is actually designed in reverse. I mean, that's a mistake. I'm not being kind. I'm saying this is a mistake because the camera that should be the better camera is the one that you use as a selfie. It's the one that you use to how do I say it? It's the one that you use to when you're looking at yourself, because you can frame your face. You can see your face. You know that your face is lined up with the camera, right? But the better camera on the other end, you can't do that. It's just this dot. That's all. So you've got a lag. It might be, and I see what you guys see. I'm not getting, you say a lag. There is a lag between what I say and what you see, and it may be different with this camera. I don't know. But I think it's difficult to argue with the idea that the sound is better. And I'll go with that. The sound is better. This is the 4K camera, by the way. So that may have something to do with the lag, but this is the 4K camera. So you're seeing this in 4K. I know some people have said, why don't you use 4K? Okay, this is 4K, all right? This is 4K, all right? Dan says, no lag for me. Well, that other stuff I can't quite control, but the bottom line is the sound is better. It's 4K. Woohoo! Rejoice. And, yeah. So, hey, Barry, how are you recovering? How's everybody doing?
Brian Guidry is here. Dan the Raider is here. Joseph Jones is here. Hopefully the buffering has stopped. ML Scott, who I referred to at the onset, Marshawn Lynch is here. Barry is here. ML is here. John Santos is here. Golden State Raider, how you doing, Golden State? Let's see here. Who's here Manuel Ortiz. So hopefully, Manuel, the sound is better. And we've got, as usual, and we're waiting for, let's see. And that's it. And of course, the irrepressible Will McCain, who his complaining things would not have been better. So at any rate, here we go. Now, Marshawn Lynch made a 4-minute statement to the press at the organized team activities at the Oakland Raiders headquarters, and he said, among other things, the most notable headline generating comment. Actually, there's a number of them. It just depends on your value structure, but considering where we are currently, this is it. He said that hey, John Marks, how you doing? And he said that the reason for his successful attempt to return to football out of retirement into the Raiders was because of the Las Vegas relocation move. Now, I want to know what you guys think of that statement, because one friend called me and he thought he's down for Money Lynch. Says Money Lynch does a lot for African Americans without question, particularly in Oakland. He's from Oakland Tech. But he felt that Marshawn Lynch was being used, okay? And so I want to know what you guys think about that. Hey, Barry, glad you're recovering. Barry says he has some more tests. For those of you who don't know, Barry Lee had a stent put in his heart the 5th time, I believe. And he says he has some more tests scheduled for this morning, for the morning coming up. But he has to go because they gave him some morphine, and he is about to get some more Zantac to help him sleep. So, which, is another way of saying that this is like so interesting it's not making him sleep. Thanks, Barry. I would be more concerned if I put him to sleep during the broadcast. But Barry Strong. Get better, Barry. We're all hashtagging Barry Strong. And much appreciated. Hey, Barry, give us a tweet before on your way to bed, okay? Thanks a lot. Well, actually, you're already, thanks a lot, man. See you, Barry. Hey, see you, definitely. So, what do you guys think of Marshawn Lynch's comments regarding Las Vegas? Do you think that the Raiders are using him? And my comment is, yeah, they're using him, but so what? Everybody, thumbs up. Thank you. Joseph Jones says Marshawn Lynch is being used to get angry Oakland fans to show up. Yeah, and it appears like it's going to work. Golden State Raiders says they are mutual interests. John Marks says Mark Davis is using him. I agree, but it's mutual. I think Brian Guidry said part of that was way good for good PRs, and yeah, you're right, Brian. It is for good PR, but here are 2 things that are bugging me tonight. The first one is directly related to this conversation we're having, and that is why want the Raiders to fail in Oakland? I mean, what good comes out of that if they are still in Oakland and their activities mean money for concessionaires, ushers, the popcorn person, the coaches, the Raiderettes, you know what I mean? So my point is, why wish for the Raiders to fail in Oakland as opposed to doing moves to get them to stay in Oakland? You see what I'm getting at? If they're not economically successful in Oakland here, it just simply gives them a better reason to leave. Oh, they're not treating us right. We're not making money. They're not coming to the games. And see, this isn't working out anyway. As opposed to, hey, this is fantastic. Sellouts, ratings are up there. It's hunky-dory. And why would we want to leave this, especially if, the Las Vegas deal isn't going quite like we thought it would. You know what I mean? So my point is, hey, Donis, how you doing? But you see what I'm getting at? My point is, why give the reason for the Raiders to leave? Maurice Keith, how you doing? Maurice says, not being used, and this is coming from a current season ticket holder that will make some cash on the secondary market. Treat Raiders like a family member with a terminal illness. Once they leave, you move on. That is one of those backhanded compliment statements. It's like, I love you, but sorry, I have a hard time stating it that way. So I'll take an entirely alternative route. And I'll say, just that's an interesting comment, a little interesting way of looking at things. Hurtful in the end, yeah. And Donis, don't worry, I'm late a lot. You're here. Brian Guidry says, Coach Jack Del Rio said yesterday he's still having a rehab pool installed and a full kitchen. Why leave after millions invested in the headquarters? Yeah, that's it. Oh, he's having a full kitchen? New chefs? Can we come down and eat? Hey, Coach, bring us in. I know you don't like that I criticize the Raider moves from time to time, but hey, look. What's life if you don't have a critic once in a while, right? Feed me. So, but I'd like to hear from you all, because there's 24 watching, but of the 24, only a handful of are chiming in on the screen here in the live chat. So I'd like to know what you think about this Marshawn Lynch Oakland Raiders pairing. Tim Baldenegro, and Tim says, why are the Raiders being so quiet about the Raiders deal? And Joseph Jones says, Zinni, when the team was failing, we showed up. And now that they're good, we have to accept the fact that they're leaving for basically ego and nothing else. Here's how I look at it. I'm still not convinced the deal works. And there are people on that deal who are really upset. I'm learning today. I mean, really upset that I'm questioning, quote, every little aspect, unquote, of the deal. To which I shot back to a person I respect, whose name I will not use. I said, look, the deal has some very fundamental problems, and I'm paraphrasing what I wrote, because what I wrote was a lot longer than what I'm about to say. There are problems with the deal that I feel need to be pointed out, and because of my background, I'm uniquely qualified among media to point them out, and that's what I do, okay? So Brian Guidry says, who are these people? We'll blank them up. And then before that, Guidry says, they're the only NFL team that has food brought into the players and staff at all times. You know what? The Raiders, I will say, throughout my history of the Raiders, the one thing I can always say that's consistent, other than, of course, the team and colors and the Davis family, is the food. They have the best food I have ever experienced in my association with sports at any level. I'm telling you, especially the meats, okay? The meats at Raider headquarters are top notch. I think they use Harris steak, but also their roast beef is just outstanding. With the horseradish sauce, the au jus, oh my God, it's incredible. Oh, I am a foodie to the max. Raider headquarters is foodie heaven. I'm telling you, it is. When they have the press conferences, what I love is, the press people sit there, most of them, and, they kind of sit there and think, well, I'm not going to eat. I don't want to look like I'm hungry. I'm not going to eat. I don't want to look like I'm hungry. I'm not going to eat. I don't want to look like I'm hungry. I'm saying, you know what? Heck with that. See that over there? Oh, yeah. Roast beef, I'm there. Green beans, I'm there. Big, awesome, well put together salad, I'm there. Dressing out of this world, French dress, I'm there. I don't care what anybody thinks. Chow down time, man. It's great stuff. Oh, my God. And let's see here. Now, Maurice Keith says, I was saying enjoy them while they're here with the terminal illness statement. Can't really stop what's happening. I disagree with that, Maurice. You can stop it. And I want to get to that. And Donna says, really? Evan Brown says, if Marshawn doesn't save them, let's hope the food will. I like that one. Now, John Marks says, Oakland Raiders will stay in Oakland. That's what I say. Golden State Raider says, for the players. John Marks says, green beans? Ew. Well, everybody has their thing. I like green beans, okay? And Brian Guidry says, good food. Yes, I've heard. Yes, best nutrients, not so much. Actually, no, the food's good. It's on a par. Pretty much. I would say I would give this organization YouTube, all right? YouTube, as befits a Google organization, has an incredible spread of food, an incredible cafeteria in San Bruno. I've been there. The Raiders' cuisine is almost at that level. Almost. It's a little light on the green leafy and vegan meals, at least the last time I was there. YouTube has it beat there, right? But having said that, it's really great. Now, Brian Goodry says, good food, yes, I've heard. Yes, best nutrients, not so much. I said that. Lamont Stone, my fellow Bulldog alumni, beast mode is right to step up for Oakland. I agree with you, Zenny. Vegas doesn't look like it's a done deal at all. Lynch will keep the nation energized. Right. And while I am, talking about Vegas and how I'm being, roundly criticized by those who are involved in the deal, let me explain something here. Had Steve Sisolak, the great chair of the Clark County Board of Commissioners in Las Vegas, not come out with that video on Monday, I wouldn't have had anything to say about it, right? I mean, well, look, I'll always find something to say, but he just gave an enormous truckload of comments that just lurched everything, to which the one official that I'm talking about told me today that, and I quote, Steve Sisolak does not speak for the Raiders. Period. Whoa, okay. So, and yeah, follow John Marks. John Marks is right. Now, John Marks is right. Call the mayor of Oakland tomorrow, 510-238-3141. Now, back to my comments. Yeah, Steve Sisolak does not speak for the Raiders. Well, he's talking, and he's the top county elected official, okay? Straight out. Brian Goodry says, can you say roughly who are criticizing you? Is it the Raiders of Vegas or an NFL? What level? I don't want to give away who it is, okay? At all. For various reasons. Among them, this was done in a private setting via email. The person didn't expect that to happen, so that's wrong for me to do. That's the top reason, number one. Number two, I have a great deal of respect for this person. I regard this person as a friend. So I don't regard this person as an adversary. But the person was in the middle of answering a question, and the person was giving me it was really weird. Half the paragraph was basically Steve Sisolak does not speak for the Raiders. And then the first part, that was the first one sentence paragraph, right? And the next paragraph was explaining how normally a market study is done, and then the sales plan is released, in this case for PSLs, and then you adjust as you go along. But what I was asking was, hey, look, have the Raiders done a demographic study? And the answer I was getting back was in the abstract. I didn't get a yes or a no, okay? I got an idea from this person of how things are supposed to work. But in the middle of the same paragraph, the person then switches, and it goes. It's like the person went from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde in the middle of the paragraph. It was like this Bruce Banner to Hulk transformation, and it went from a very clear, cogent, civilized explanation to this emotional. Why are you trying to question this deal? Why are you trying to find problems with it? And I half expected to see this cartoon of the green guy, coming out of the Banner shirt and everything. Serious. That's how the paragraph looked to me. I was like, Whoa, dude. All right. So that was to this point still, a head scratcher for me. Excuse me for there. I'm trying to center my head better. Who runs the Raiders marketing team? The marketing team, it used to be, I've forgotten that person's name, and the person is on my mind. John Mark says Steve Sisolak has no clue what he's saying, but Steve Sisolak thinks he has a clue. And, Steve Sisolak is the master. He's running for governor, I believe. Evan Brown says, "Hey, Evan, how you doing?" Evan says, "Hey, Zenny. I look forward to your YouTube videos every week. Thank you very much. You're highly underrated. That being said, what is the worst decision Mark Davis has made in the last 2 years?" Wow. The worst decision Mark Davis has made in the last 2 years. Let me think about this. Rick Rice, how you doing? Rick One Shoe. Maurice Keith says, "I get the feeling the TAM is going to get run up on Davis before that stadium gets built, and traffic is a real issue. Casino foot traffic beyond Mandalay is a joke." Brian Guidry says, "Sup, DBLR." John Mark says, "Call UNLV Department of Athletics Desiree Reed Francoise, Director of Athletics." Isn't that just such a beautiful name? Desiree Reed Francoise. Francois, excuse me, not Francoise. Desiree Reed Francois. Desiree Reed Francois. Ah, beautiful, beautiful name. But I digress. Steve Sisolak believes he knows what he is talking about, and you have to remember it's as far as the worst decision to leave in 2 years, the worst decision was basically technically it came before that. The worst decision Mark made over that time was whoever told him, and I don't know if it was over the last 2 years, but whoever told him it was a good idea to have pictures in front of places he shouldn't have was the worst decision, even worse than what he's doing now. Mark Davis has to make sure to project a squeaky clean image, and you all know what I'm talking about without my going into detail about it. He has to make sure he maintains a squeaky clean image from here on out, because the political stakes and the economic stakes are too high for him to blow it, all right? And there are eyes watching him. And I'm sending that observation out. So now, Rick Rice says, "Did you hear Marshawn's interview?" Yes, I opened up to start talking about that one. Rick Rice says, "Did you hear Marshawn's interview today? He's the only one who can keep the Raiders in Oakland." Hey, Rick Rice, do you think the Raiders are using him? I think it's a mutual use thing, but I think it's okay. Brian Guidry says, "Spending $30 million on a facility he won't use in 3 years, worst decision. Also the Carson jump, and I think the NFL shunned him for that." Rick Rice, Sisolak is a fake fan, wears long sleeved collared shirt under his Raiders jersey. I mean, Packers shirt. Now, Evan Brown says, "Wow, I'm surprised you agree with me. Living in Northern California, it seems they're all proud of their image." And John Mark says, "Call UNLV Department of, And so, I think, Evan, it's I agree, basically, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Evan, you're absolutely right. I'm very concerned about that, because Mark Davis is essentially a very good man, but there are those who could very easily craft a view of him that others don't want to see of him, okay? And Mark Davis should be at a community benefit. He should be at a charitable giveaway or fundraiser on behalf of the Raiders himself, and really just send home the statement that, hey, in Oakland and in Las Vegas, I care about the community. Davis needs to do that. But right now, what's out there does not present that side of him, and he really needs to work on that. I'm just saying, he can do that. He can do that. So, hey, Rick, how you doing? And Mr. Lippitz 14 says, I can't wait till you see how bad the deal is. They pull out that deal in Vegas. It's all bad. Brian Guidry says, we... something in the hallways. But at any rate, the bottom line is that when you have, I said it last night, it bears repeating, it's taken a long time for UNLV to come together. There's a problem. Steve Sisolak basically alluded to the idea that they don't have a market study, and I was told by this person that my comments regarding infrastructure were, how did she put it? Misled, I think it was, and that was an interesting term. I'm not the market study regarding infrastructure, to which I reminded this person, hey, the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Act, or Tourism Improvements Act, excuse me, calls for NDOT-based off-site transportation infrastructure improvement cost estimates to be done. And we always saw the preliminary report. And it's $900 million. That's the price tag. The law says that the developer, the Raiders, in this instance, has to pay, quote, and, quote, adequate, unquote, amount of that. Given that one interchange costs $200 million, you can bet you're looking at something that's in the $450 million range. The fact of the matter is that Clark County in the state of Nevada is not going to come up with that entire price tag. That's not happening. The regional, there will be blood on the streets politically if it is even announced that that's the intent. Steve Sisolak will not be able to run for governor at all, period. Okay? So, John Mark says, hashtag stay in Oakland. That's just a fact. So, where you are, and here's another problem that I've uncovered. The 2,400 parking spaces for a regular season game that are on site, guess what? When you form a bid to bring the Super Bowl to your town, among other things, the NFL asks you to identify transportation organizations that are going to provide you 1,000 units of buses, limousines, and other forms of vehicle transportation, and taxi cabs. 1,000. Folks, they have to park somewhere. So the Super Bowl bid doesn't say you have to provide parking for them, but you have to identify the service and make sure you have that number to host patrons, okay? But guess what? You got to park them somewhere. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, all right? And yeah, John Marks is right. Steve Sisolak would lose the election guaranteed. He would be very vulnerable. And look, Steve's from my observation is a great guy, a great elected official, a great chairperson of Clark County who's done a fantastic job of being what I call the classic jobs liberal. And I'm a liberal. I'm a jobs liberal. And he and I have talked about that. And I said the one thing I admire about Steve Sisolak is he is not the type of progressive that just regulates but doesn't create jobs. No, he believes in jobs. So I want to see him come out of this looking good, regardless of what happens with respect to the Raiders. That's my point. So he's got to really be careful here. And now, Big Eightful says, I believe the Raiders are still in Oakland by 2020. They will not be going over anywhere. And Big Eightful, I agree with you. Maurice Keith says Mark Davis should have paid you to get him a stadium the proper way, Zenny. Hey, Maurice, he did ask me to form a plan for him. I did it, and you know what? He didn't pay me. So, but I not only did I form a plan, I got him Piper Jaffray Investment Bankers. So, and that's something else too. The person that issued the crit, privately, just seems to forget that, hey, you know what? I have made a history for myself in analyzing these matters, and I created sports business simulations, and a game of the Oakland A's I was used in the 40 colleges and high schools around the country between 2002 and 2010. So there you go. Now, top colleges, I might add. Andrew Zimbalist who's on my board, among others, top sports economist. Dan Rasher, another top sports economist, my friend and business partner. We had a fantastic board of academics, sport economic academics, period. So I stack my credentials up against anybody in the country. Anyone. Sorry. So now, let's see here. FTX 168 says, even if the Vegas deal does indeed fall apart, there's still no contingency plan for a new stadium in Oakland. Actually, there is that plan, okay? But it's not detailed. So, FTX, you're right to a degree. The plan needs to be detailed. And the problem is that it needs to have an architect, SOM, give us a plan for the stadium alone, not just this overhead, right? So we can fly through it. We need to do a plan for an event center, period, because, look, we're in competition for that kind of activity, and yet we're letting it go. What were the Warriors to San Francisco, the Raiders trying to move to Las Vegas, the A's hunting for a home? Those are our biggest event patron drivers. What do I mean by that? If you take the name off and just think of these as gatherings, these are the largest gatherings, some of the largest gatherings in the world at any one time. 20,000 over here, 55, 60,000 over there. Those are huge. And what we have to do as a city is have ways of steering that money economically so it works for us. But rather than do that, we have, the current administration, I mean, not just the mayor, the council too, just chasing it away without thought with this idea that, biotech is better. Really? And then the chief of staff for the mayor's office claims that there was no biotech plan or biotech interest in Coliseum. Excuse me. I point to you, Dan Kaub's interview with me. And excuse me, by the way, Sharita Nozakare, she's the chief of staff for Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. The person that I got that from is very highly placed, someone you talk to on a weekly basis, and will tell you this if you ask him, okay? So Sharita could very well have just said, hey, let me call Zinni and find out what he's talking about, but she didn't do that. She just said what I said, and in a room with somebody else there, and that person countered her. Anyway, so we got, all right. Can Piper Jaffray still come into the next deal for a few years? Yeah, if we get them, call them now. They've done 100 stadium deals, John Marks. Brian Guidry says, Lakewood bought the Warriors for $450 million. They're now worth $3.6 billion. Wow. There has to be a local investor that wants that type of return on their investment. There is. Mr. Lippitt says, I still don't get why they would leave a bigger market for a smaller market with all these problems. That is why I'm digging so much, because that's what I'm talking about regarding the fundamental issue I have with this. All right. Evan Brown says, it gives me a headache trying to figure out how many powerful people have made such a huge decision while not even being able to see past the fog. And then Maurice Keith says, Davis is all in on Las Vegas. If he fails, he's out. He's staking his ownership in Vegas over selling a percentage to stay in the Bay Area. He doesn't want to be here. But my point is, why? Okay? I mean, people paint these pictures about what Davis wants, but we never get an answer why. I have an answer. I have a speculative answer, okay? I have a speculative answer. Ron Huckabee says, we do not know what it would be like to be in Vegas. It's new to the NFL. But correct. In fact, that's the best comment of the night. Lamont Stone, welcome Mr. Stone, says, with a new Google site coming to San Jose, Oakland, where the stadium complex will be bigger than everything in North California. Where did North Carolina come in? North California. Convention space and a stadium is the future. Imli Pitte says, I know, right? Like I said before, not all money is good money. They need to back out of this deal. And then Brian Guidry says, Raiders should have moved to San Jose where the A's initially brought up. No, not at all. Evan Brown says, what's your speculative answer? Okay, Mr. Brown, I'll tell you. I believe that Las Vegas Sands and Sheldon Adelson gave Mark Davis between $100 and $200 million up front before the SNTIC recommendations started, part of which they were to use to park into the new LV Raiders company, the LLC that they established in August of last year. The LLC that eventually bought the land, the Russell Road land. Because everyone says, where did they get that money from? I don't believe it was NFL Ventures. NFL Ventures would not have made that expenditure up front that quickly ahead of the owner's vote. Eric Grubman leads that. He wouldn't do that. I believe it was Adelson who gave the Raiders that money and thus formed... You know how Davis has always talked about the promise that he made to Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval? Well, Governor Sandoval's termed out. What promise? What I believe, and this is a theory to fit the facts as I have them right now. What I believe is that Adelson / Las Vegas Sands, or Mr. Adelson himself, gave Davis this, say, $100 or $200 million in upfront money, in investment, which allowed Davis to go about the matter of assembling land, hiring architects, and so on, all the pre-development expenditures, right? And then, remember, it wasn't Davis that got out of the Adelson deal, but he made moves like he was going to go behind Adelson's back, right? And then Adelson, who has the money to lose, that's as he said before, money like that is a rounding error for him in a larger deal, you know? So what? He doesn't care. So, so let me put it another way. Let's say that Mark wasn't involved with Adelson in that way. It could be easier to simply escape from him, right? To say, you know what, I don't want to be involved in it. But if someone has invested in you to that tune, it makes it much harder to just simply openly, publicly move away from them and dump them. You see what I'm getting at? That's why I hold that the real reason for all of this was that Sheldon Adelson made Mark Davis a richer man than he had been in his life up to that point. Cash rich. Okay. That's why. Now, and so there you go. All right. Welcome, Spartan. Welcome. Max Spartan, welcome. Hey, Zinni, my friend King Jose told me to check out your channel. Welcome, MSU Spartan. We salute you and we welcome you. Thank you. Do you think Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James? I think so. King Jose thinks otherwise. So, Jordan Yancey says, I think Adelson is still involved somehow. Yeah, I think that he set the tone for it. I don't know if he's still involved, but I think he set the tone for it. And Evan Brown says it. Yeah, Evan. And Jamarian Guidry says, yeah, guess we know. Oh, Corvette says, hey, Corvette, how you doing? Corvette says, they're leaving Oakland because Mark Davis wanted the city to pay and he wasn't smart enough to get it privately funded. MSU Spartan says, hello. Brian Guidry says, guess we know where the $77 million for the land came from. And Ryan Huckabee says, Zin, thanks, Zin, man. You're very welcome. And Max Spartan, welcome again. And Evan Brown says, always follow the money. Depending on how this plays out, this could be Pulitzer Prize winning stuff. Thank you for answering our questions. Sure, they don't want to give a Pulitzer Prize to a guy that they view as disrupting media. Okay, so I'm not looking for an award from mainstream people. And on that note, however, I will say that losing steady NFL media stalwarts like John Clayton is a very sad thing. And if I had the money, which I don't, I'd love to have him with me. That'd be fantastic. And could teach him some new media things. But FTX says, that makes sense now. Okay, cool. And Maurice Keith says, interesting theory, but how does Adelson recoup that $200 million? The guy's worth, you know how much Adelson is worth? He's worth $39 billion. $39 not million, billion, $39 billion. He doesn't care. $650 million was a drop in the bucket for him to even consider spending, even beyond that. He does not care at all. So he doesn't start. So what does Adelson want out of it? Brian Gidry says, don't start that, Zenny. Start what? Now, that with with Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Brian Gidry is like, no. Wait a minute. MSU Spartan says Jose is crazy. 831 Scott says, going back to the conversation, it's a dumb move by Mark Davis. The fans are in Oakland. The stadium deal was good. It's a bigger market. It's going to cost him more to move to a smaller market and rely on tourism for fan support. LV9933, hey, welcome. He says, in your honest opinion, are Raiders moving to Las Vegas for certain? Even if stadium is not ready by 2020, will they will eventually land in Vegas? I'm not certain. Okay? No, I mean, it's still too early to say, okay, this is happening. And I know that infuriates some people. I don't know why. But what bothers me about society today is, first of all, the rush to a right or wrong answer rather than investigating, right? And second, the anger that's brought on toward people like myself who would dare question the kings who know everything. And I don't do that. I told this person I've never done that in my life, going back to when I was a kid. So I don't believe anybody just tells me at face. Things I just don't. I have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, but not people. I trust people, but I don't have faith in them. Okay? So some people express faith in this as if it's the Lord Jesus Christ. That's a bad thing. So, Benjamin West, how you doing? Corey Brown says, if this deal falls apart, I can't wait to see the response of all those folks in support of Vegas move, telling us to stop crying and just get over it. Ryan Huckabee says, gamble, football. The Key Show. That's right. John Mark says, no on Vegas, stay in Oakland, Corvette. Mark Davis is the new Elvis of Las Vegas. ML Scott, Mighty Lynch says, how do we go about getting our California elected officials involved and take pride in California instead of letting Nevada flex its muscle and take our team away? Call your officials. Call the mayor. Call Mayor of Oakland. I'll give you a list. Mayor of Oakland. Let's see. Alameda County Board President. And Governor of California. Call or tweet or email them. That's what you do. Ideally more than once. That's what you do. And hey, 43 not watching now. Welcome to Zinni 62 Live Vlog. Marshawn Lynch. We're talking about his statements about wanting to play for the Raiders because of the plans to move to Las Vegas. And we're talking about the latest in the the stadium deal in Las Vegas. We have a big date coming up on June 8th, which is the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. We'll get more news and progress about where that's headed. You have 48 watching now, and still discussing the comments of the great Clark County, Nevada elected official Steve Sisolak, who I'm not kidding you there. I'm not saying that tongue-in-cheek. I mean that. I think that his video was an error. And why he decided to do that, I don't yet know. But I can read between the lines. FTX168 says, don't rely on California governor. Didn't he sabotage the Uptown A's stadium while he was mayor? Yes. And not to mention my Super Bowl effort to a degree. Whoa. Daniel Dillard says, wow. And Emil Scott says, Jordan Yancey says, I don't give a dang where they play Vegas. I'm just a Raider fan. Jordan, you can't be just a Raider fan. Because Raiders were born in Oakland. All right? So you've got to be a fan of Oakland, period. Because, and I'm warning you this, okay, as a friend, you assume that everything about the Raiders, if the Vegas deal works out, will automatically translate to Vegas. And I'm telling you right now, it will not. The Raiders will go to a place economically and culturally you don't know. Because there will be people who claim to be Raiders fans who are just wearing the silver and black for a Sunday outing if they can afford to go to the games at all. So I'm just letting you know. All right? So when you say that, think hard about what it means to be an Oakland Raiders fan. Because among those considerations is affordability. One thing I'm proudest about when Mark Davis asked me to come up with my stadium plan is I made it my top objective to make sure that the PSLs were affordable. The average cost of the PSLs in my stadium system, $1,500. That's the average PSL cost in my stadium, the lowest in the National Football League, even for any stadium. Making them what? Making them affordable. You will not see that in Vegas, okay? Because that objective is not there. That objective is not there. Right? So, now, see, Daniel Dillis, I'm an Oakland fan and Raider fan. Oakland forever. Goodnight says, Doll Life. Lamont says, you got my vote. And Lamont says, Zinni, you should run for mayor, file lawsuits, eminent domain, and something, keep the build the stadium. Still thinking about it. I got my mom first priority right now. Super Bowl bound, win the next 2 years, bet. And we've got Oakland Raiders forever. Daniel Dillis says, I'm an Oakland Raider fan. Robert Cortillo says, poor Oakland, Al Davis would turn over in his grave. And John Mark says, right on, Daniel Dillard. Goodnar says, live, offline. Evan Brown says, when are we going to hear the Raiders team speak up about it? Probably never, Evan. Unless somebody slips. They must have a ton of anxiety about this move. Yes. Remember first Derek Carr spoke out against the move, as did other players, and then all of a sudden, like magic, oh, support, ooh, right? So, Daniel says, Raiders. Big Eightful says, they will be worse off than they were in Los Angeles if they move. Trust me on that. Yep. And Corvette says, nothing like Oakland. Home field best in the city. MSU Spartan says, hey man, I'm here with Jose and he's asking if you blocked him because he won't let him post anything. No. I didn't block him at all. No, not at all. I think if you, Daniel does say I love Oakland. Okay, here's the thing, all right? It depends on what you're trying to post. If you try to post something that has a keyword or vulgarity, you won't get it in there. If you make it, okay, so I'm telling you, don't, for example, don't use the word B-U-T-T or don't use any word regarding someone's, privates, all right? Don't use a curse word. Just keep it clean. So if you just say hello, that should be okay, all right? Now let me check right now and see. I did not put him on a timeout. I don't recall doing anything like that. So hold on a second. Let me check and see what's going on just to make sure. And if I do find that he is in some kind of way put into some sort of block, I'll remove the block. But I'm telling you that should not have happened at all. There was no reason because, like I said before, King Jose is part of the family. So no, I don't see community settings. I go there and let's see here. I have the moderators, the approved users. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 9 moderators total. Hidden users, I do not see his name. And I have quite a few of them. So, but if you come in and you use something that is, let me scroll down here. Use a vulgarity, that will not serve you well. But no, he's not on any list here at all. He is not a hidden user. We have blocked words. We have approved users, hidden users, default settings. So no, I don't see him Don't see him at all in any kind of penalty box. So no, I don't see him. Yeah, tell him MSU, because right, or update. Yeah, M Lippet says so. I'll update your app. That's a good advice, Mr. Lippet. Thank you. 14. Ryan Huckabee says truly Carr is and has always loved the Raiders for life. Hey folks, I want to read you something I uncovered that was first presented at the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee as a critique by an NFL stadium expert that never saw the full light of public day until now. All right? And Ruffalo says, I subscribe to every device I have. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me get that now. This is a doozy. In fact, you know what? I've not read this. I've skimmed it, but I have not read it in its full entirety until now. Okay, you can find it at scribd.com. Just go to my Zenny62 or Zenny Abraham page, and you can check out my document uploads. All right, the title of it is Critique of Las Vegas Sands NFL Stadium Fan Demographics / Demand Claims from 2006. And the person who wrote this, okay, hey Jay, welcome to it. You are in the middle of the meat of things, all right? So hold on a second. I am about to read this to you. This is by James Nagurney of Las Vegas. This is a Las Vegas resident, and leaves his full address and phone number and all that stuff here. And he says, I am writing to you in your capacity as a technical advisor. Now, this is him writing to the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee, all right, SNTIC. And I found this online by this Mr. James Nagurney, okay? And James, I'm going to just read this to you, and then we can talk about who he is, because the content is king here. It really is. And he says, I'm writing to you in your capacity as a technical advisor to the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee. For the past several weeks, I have been studying and analyzing certain assumptions and projections in materials presented to the committee by representatives and consultants for Sands, Las Vegas Sands, and Majestic, the entities proposing to develop the stadium. I have been unable to locate online any comments or advice you may have given the committee in reference to those materials. That surprises me, he writes, because many of the projections and assumptions seem to be implausible and unsupported by reliable data, if any. The kind of reckless use of numbers that a man of your experience would be expected to have noted and advised the committee of such, particularly insomuch as there is the potential for a staggering impact on future county budgets should key assumptions and projections be substantially wrong. Perhaps I just was not looking in the right places. It gets better, folks. It gets better. As a way of providing context for my observations, Mr. Naguri continues, here are relevant portions of my career incorporating municipal finance and the business side of professional sports. City manager of Long Beach, New York, deputy Nassau County executive, vice president / administration and business for the New York Mets and the New York Islanders, among several other senior roles. In addition, to say the least, I received extensive non-compensated guidance and assistance from economics professor Roger Knoll of Stanford. Dr. Knoll, recognized as the father of sports economics, other than Andrew Zimbalist, is the preeminent figure in the field and also a nice guy. Many of my observations, questions, and comments were inspired by Dr. No. Further, there is a substantial amount of material written by Dr. Knoll at the end of this letter. Certainly you want to get it right. Unlike the litany of stadium projects using public funds, which within a few years become financial disasters, causing great embarrassment to those officials responsible. Hopefully, this letter may help identify problem areas that may have been overlooked. In analyzing the projections offered by Sands Majestic, page 2, Events and Attendance presents us with a convenient Rosetta Stone. But unlike the real Rosetta Stone, it begins with an obvious error when it states that there will be 10 regular season home games. Most 12-year-old boys know that the correct number is 8, plus 2 far less attractive exhibition games, also known as preseason games, to differentiate them from regular season games. As technical advisor, did you advise the committee of the mistake? In your opinion, as technical advisor, would the reduction of preseason games from 10 to 8 on the top line have a material impact on the bottom line? I'm just asking as a Las Vegas taxpayer. Next, on the top line of the same page, it indicates total turnstile attendance for 10 NFL games of 632,960 with annual overnight attendance of 221,536. That's annual. That equates to 35% of turnstile attendance coming from tourists who will be staying overnight, thus, in theory, generating new room tax revenue. Indeed, that 35% becomes a dominant factor in all calculations that follow. I can find nothing in the public documents supporting the 35%. Neither is there any record of you questioning or challenging it, despite the obvious devastating impact on future county budgets if it were wrong. Didn't you view your responsibility to at least question the number in which the 35% was arrived at? Dr. Knoll, the leading scholar on the subject, has written, "To me, it's an amazing statistic. I cannot imagine anyone believing that this number is credible. Even if I were in favor of the stadium, I would ask questions about it." Mr. Burnett, have you asked questions about it? Do you know the basis on which the 35% was arrived at? Does anyone? Tourist attendance at NFL games typically runs in the 3% to 5% range, even in cities that are tourist meccas. Did you make any attempt to learn what is the norm? The following are other questions and comments that occurred to us. They may be of some help to you. 1. Sands projects the 35% of Raiders attendance will be tourists. Next, Sands assumes that none of these tourists would have come to Las Vegas if not for the football game, and will stay an average 3.2 nights in a $200 room per night. Sands needs to show higher visitor attendance in an attempt to sell the fiction that the Raiders will significantly increase tourism. Several other NFL teams are in tourist meccas. Studies have shown tourists typically represent about 3% to 4% of attendance. Sands even includes exhibition games. Yes, they project a total of 44,200 tourists and will come to Las Vegas specifically to see the 2 Raider exhibition games in August, and they will spend 3 nights here. And if it were not for the lure of those thrilling exhibition games, none of those 44,200 would have visited Las Vegas. According to Sands, that's the case. For a reality check, you can go online today and find thousands of tickets offered at $13 for the Raiders' first exhibition game next month. As you know, all NFL teams require season ticket holders to buy at full price tickets for 2 exhibition games. No-show rates run in the 25% to 50% range. The Sands projections on tourist attendance will send shockwaves through Las Vegas when locals learn they're only getting 65% of a team. How eager local fans going to how are eager local fans going to be prevented from buying all 65,000 tickets? If the costly acquisition of the Raiders is not for the benefit of our Las Vegas community, then for whose benefit was this plan concocted? If ticket sales to visitors are 35% of attendance, and if the Raiders sell out every game, season ticket sales cannot possibly exceed 4,250, 65% of 65,000. But for the 2016 season, the Raiders sold nearly 50,000 season tickets. A question for the Raiders and for the NFL is whether such a low ceiling on season ticket sales is acceptable to either party, and whether each entity would be willing to relocate a team when its financial health is based on attracting so many fans from out of town. And then he goes on, okay, but what if these out-of-town fans buy season tickets? Using nothing except numbers and assumptions from Sands, here's what to expect. Mr. and Mrs. Jones from Sacramento fly in for all 10 games, each time spending the assumed 3.2 nights. That's 32 nights. These folks must really love our town. But wait, the Sands presentation states that the Joneses would not have come to Las Vegas for even one day if not for football. Their numbers, not mine. Las Vegas Bowl. The 5-year average attendance is 30,200. Sands projection 56,000. Almost double. Can't be justified. Second bowl game. On April 11, 2016, the NCAA imposed a 3-year moratorium on any new bowl games because it had become an embarrassment. Over 40 bowl games, so many teams with losing records were being invited. Attendance and viewership in steep decline for the bottom half of bowl games. Sands consultants must have known this, and yet, 1 month later, they tell the committee the new stadium will attract a second annual bowl game, and it too shall draw 56,000 fans. They mention that the schedule for bowls is tight, but are confident a date can be found in the last week of December. Really, that's in their written presentation. And folks, it is in the written presentation, okay? Between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, Sunday won't be available. It's an NFL day, and that's actually written into the law. The remaining dates include long-established bowls and semifinal games for the national title. Further, in an attempt to make the second game seem feasible, they list 7 markets with multiple bowls, omitting the key fact that at least one of those games in each market cited was a major bowl. Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Citrus Bowl, etc. This goes on. This is actually quite an extensive read. I want you to take a look at the rest of it, okay? But the whole point is that this is disastrous, okay? Completely disastrous. This was what I read to you was written last July, 2016. His questions were never addressed at all. At all. So that's it. So anyway, let's see here. And we've got, let's see here, a new group. Mark a mistake, have to control the Raiders. So if the deal falls apart, the owners still get to keep the money they all received for the vote to move to Vegas. I don't know if they received it yet. I don't receive it. Ryan says it's a gambling city. Davis family is a gambling family. So anyway, there is, hey Bernard, there is a Oh, hey, by the way, let's see here. Oh, let's see here. Christian's just, hey, look, hey, folks, let Christian say what he wants to say. That's his business. If he thinks the Raiders aren't going to do well, hey, you know what? Just remind him of that when the Raiders do well. Think of him as, and maybe he is, King Jose. Are you King Jose 19? You know, I always want that certain troll with the long teeth and the long hair that covers the eyes, so you can't see what their body looks like and all that because they got so much hair. You want those trolls around. They make it fun. So just let them troll. Because I guarantee you, the way we are, there'll be so many different kinds of conversations and won't be consistent. Yeah, King Jose. Christian Lira, are you King Jose? John Mark says, "Who? Hey, no calling names. Hey Christian, no calling names. No calling names about the. So Christian, apologize to John Mark so we can get along. Yeah, Christian, we can be friends if you. I hate babysitting, but what the hell? Apologize to John Marks so we can move along. Just please, okay? All right. So King Jose is right there. Yeah, King Jose is back. King Jose. Oh, King Jose, I don't know what happened there, King. That was not my doing. About why you were not allowed to post. So that, where that came from, I do not know. I really do not know. Now, Bernard says, damn, even Lynch knows the Raiders are moving. Well, I don't think so. Yeah, the Jets released Dave Harris. And we could use a good inside linebacker. Now, he apologized. He says, sorry, Johnny. Cool. All right. Oh, we can move along. Now, did anybody bother to pay attention to what I was reading? Kids? Jeez Louise. I mean, Evan, what do you think about that, right? That was last July. I mean, my goodness gracious. This, and I now, I didn't look at the deal, and this is interesting because for those who think that I was summarily 1,000% against the deal, hey, look, I didn't dig into it from that perspective like that. So, and the man has got really great points. What I have said is that, yeah, and they still okayed the deal. That's right. Which means that, John, this is about something else. This is about my godfather said something to me, and he said that he said, Zinni, you hire an accountant to make you look good. Any accountant that does not make you look good, you should not pay. So word to the wise out there, to the young. If you hire an accountant to do your taxes, and the accountant does not present you in the way that you want, fire the accountant. On a large level, all these consultants have done is present this idea in the way Sans Majestic wanted. What Mr. Nagura didn't note was that Construction Sports and Leisure was the organization that came up with the numbers. And Construction Sports and Leisure, guess who they are owned by? Anyone, take a guess. I'm streaming tomorrow at halftime. I'm not going to do the whole game stream. That's tiring. It's not worth the doing it a whole game because it's tiring. Sometimes I just like to kick back and watch it with Mom because Mom is great, So I'm not. I'm just gonna do something more post game, I think, this time. Just to stay with that. Now, Miss Lippett said, hey, I gotta have to work at 5 a.m. Great live blog. Thank you so much. Thank you. Rick Rice says, get your mama on here. I've talked to her about it. I will. I'm working on her. Christian says, LeBron James for president 2020. And I'm going to stop at 145. It was actually a little longer than I said I was going to go on. But Warriors going to get their W tomorrow, MSU. Christian Lara says, on my way to Cleveland. What? You're going to Cleveland for Game 3? You're just kidding, man. You better post a photo or 10 on your Twitter account. And hopefully you have a Twitter account. What's your Twitter account? Now, yeah. I will do that, John. I will do that. Christian says, no, I'm not for real. Oh, man. What'd you do that for? He's not for real. Come on, dude. Dude. Oh, that's okay. I like trolling. You know? I have to do something creative about trolls. Now, I don't mean like actions. Block. No. Something, well, you'll see. I have an idea. It'll make the whole deal funny, you know? Right. It'll make the whole deal funny. So, I was going to say something about the whole issue of being criticized about this deal, but I said, hey, look, all of the criticisms that are being issued are for the good of the people that are involved in it. You would think that they would welcome observation and criticism. No. You would think that they would want the public to know what's going on. And, look, as ill-advised as that video may have been by Steve Sisolak, give him credit for trying to inform the public. Just, for having the balls to put it out there and say, you know what, this is the deal, folks, like it or not. Will he risk his governor run? Yeah, they'll put a dent in it, without question. If he really wanted to save himself, what he could have done would not have helped anyone other than himself. He could have thrown the Raiders under the bus. He could have said, hey, you know what? This isn't going like we thought it was going to. The Raiders haven't committed enough money to this. They're going to have to find more money. We're disappointed that these agreements haven't been done. The UNLV issue is it's just not even coming along as rapidly as we would like for it to. He could have said all that. Instead, he put a positive spin on everything. But if he had chosen to do it the other way, he would have saved his run for governor. So anyone who's upset with him on the other side for making that video really has to think through why they're upset with respect to what he could have done. And I might add, could still do. He sent a warning shot. Because as much as he was informing the public, he was also showing that he's not afraid to get a camera and get on YouTube and let it rip. And that's what he did. That's what he did. Christian, I'm not convinced they're gone. Cleveland takes Game 3 now. Cleveland, I think this is the time that the Warriors, I really think, I've got the Warriors for Game 3. I know all the time about LeBron always wins and all this, but, I think the Warriors took the Cavs' best punch this time, and they survived. And last year's Warriors would not have taken the Cavs' best punch like that and won. This group did. And you have to remember that we have not seen, and this is going to shock you when I say this, we haven't seen a complete game from these Warriors. What do I mean? Because the Sunday game, you had the Big Five producing, but the bench didn't produce as much. In the first game, you had 3 of the Big Five producing, all right? And the bench chimed in. But we have not had a complete game where the Warriors are running on all cylinders. Tomorrow could be that game. It could be. So, Chris says Kyrie about to go beast mode, just watch and learn. You mean he hasn't already? John Mark says, nope, Warriors are too talented. They are. And Henry Flores, hey Henry, how you doing? Henry says, Zinni, the Raiders announcing preseason televised games in Las Vegas and not have a deal in the Bay Area, slap in the face to Raider Nation. Well, they're televised games in Bay Area. So I don't think that's not the case. They're not going to stop televising games of the Raiders in the largest market. That's not happening. So no. Corvette, go Warriors. King Jose says, King Jose, dude, you're wrong. Dude, you're wrong. Hey, King Jose, can you send me a message and let me know what happened with your channel? I need to investigate that because I'm concerned that an action may have been taken against you that I didn't know about, and I want to do some research and find out what happened there. Okay, can you send me a message, please? Appreciate that. Okay. Rick Rice says, put some money on it. King Jose says, MSU, you game bad. That's why Izzo's going to start me over you. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, cool. Cool, King Jose. Ooh. Ooh, my God, wait a minute. Do you hear this? King Jose has told his college buddy that Izzo is going to start him over his college buddy. Over MSU Spartans. MSU Spartans, you're going to take that? To which MSU Spartans shoots back, bruh, with 5 skulls. Bruh. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 skulls. Hilarious. Yeah, 5 skulls. You hear what I'm saying? 5 of them. Writ large. Boy, those skulls are huge. Okay, so it's 1:43, folks. I'm going to wave good night to everybody. Say happy trails to you till we meet again. Happy trails to you. I've just forgotten all the other words. But I'll see you tomorrow on Zinni62 live stream. And as John Marks reminds us, you can bet your last money it's all going to be a Stone Gas, honey, or a Wonder Woman gas, honey. Yeah, that too. See Wonder Woman if you have not seen it yet. I'm going to see it again. Wonder Woman, incredible movie. It really is. Good night. And don't forget the thumbs up on the way out, folks, please. Yeah. Good night, peoples. Good night, peoples. Good night, Corvette. Good night, MSU. Welcome. Good night, Christian. Good night, Rick Rice. Good night, John Marks. Wonder Woman. Yes, awesome film. I'll give it 5 swords. Big Eightful, peace to you. Another good night to you. Thank you very much. Another good night. Another fun broadcast with everybody. And yeah, I've got to do this a different way because now I have to turn this around like this, right? And then stop it. So I've got to actually point it like that. And then push the button like so and say good night, everybody. Good night, good night, good night. And how does that work? Yeah. See, I'm saying good. See how that's kind of weird, huh? Look at that. Woo! But good night, folks. I will see you tomorrow. All right.